We move along to
Right,
Singapore Math. By the way, Don, if you have any questions, just touch me and drop them down.
So Jana?
Sure. Okay, well, we're here to give an overview tonight about the successful rollout of Singapore Math this year in kindergarten, first and second grade. But before we begin, and to wake you up a little at 10 o'clock, we're going to go through an exercise together that will help illuminate why the district did decide to adopt this program this year. So I would like you to look up at the PowerPoint and please read the sentence out loud. Everyone?
All of us together? Okay.
The bulgy chinsel slotted crazily over the flubbish wub.
Excellent. Okay, so let's look at some questions here. What did the bulgy chinsels do?
They slotted crazily.
Very good. How did they slottle?
Crazily.
Where did they slottle?
Over the
And what kind of chinsels were they?
Bulgy.
Very good. Okay. Do you have any idea what this means?
Nope.
No, but you were able to get 100% on your little quiz after and answer all the questions, correct? You all did. Very good job. I want you to think about this because many of us
I got
learned.
it right.
Yeah, Dr. Landon. Many of us
For
learned
those
math.
of you just tuning in, this is the new math. The new math. These are your
And I
elected
sent this, we
officials at
sent
work.
some of this down to Dr. Lanning. He said, I think it's in the wrong thing. I think it belongs in foundations. I said, no, it goes with Singapore Math.
Anyways, many of us learned math the way that we learned how to read and answer questions such like this. We could do it by learning some sort of procedure or algorithm, and we could get the right answers. However, we didn't really understand what we were doing, why we were doing it, and the concept behind the math. And so one goal of Singapore Math is to help students actually understand the conceptual basis and the concept behind the math so that they can apply the math in a real world setting rather than just regurgitating algorithms upon request. And as Shar, who's our staff developer from SDE, says, students are learning to analyze math now, not just produce it. So I'd like you to keep this in mind as we review the Singapore rollout this year.
Similar to foundations, Singapore Math was not adopted due to a deficit model. Our students have always been strong performers in math. Singapore Math is aligned with the Common Core state standards and the NMAP, the National Mathematics Advisory Panel recommendations. Our tri-state consortium neighboring districts are also beginning to examine or implement Singapore Math. Singapore Math strengthens the foundational strategies in our students, and it complements our middle school math program as well. As Janet demonstrated, Singapore Math can help us go deeper with the students' understanding, that depth versus breadth model. The CPA, or the concrete pictorial abstract approach to teaching math, is one of the purposeful, playful approaches. Students are using manipulatives as they begin learning these components to math. They're learning using hands-on, fun, interactive methods. Then they're transferring that to the pictorial and finally the abstract or those algorithms. So they have a true understanding before they get there. Singapore Math builds understanding of the part-whole thinking. This is an extremely purposeful, one of the most purposeful components of Singapore Math. This is where the number bonds that you've been introduced to are a strong component. And those in turn help to help the students to develop methods for solving mental math as components to their computation.
Okay, in terms of our implementation this year, we began by implementing Singapore. We did a full rollout in kindergarten, first and second grade. Next year, we will be rolling this out in third and fourth grade, and then in fall 2013 in fifth grade. In addition to this, though, this year in third grade, after April vacation, we actually implemented 2 units with our current third graders of Singapore Math. And in fourth grade, we've implemented 1 unit in the May-June time slot of Singapore Math. We've had quite a lot of professional development for this program. I do attribute a large part of the success of this program to the excellent professional development we've had. We started developing and doing work with SDE a year ahead of time before we actually rolled out the program. So we've been working with staff development for educators, in particular, a woman named Shar Forston. And we last year had 2 full days of PD for all teachers and administrators. And actually, on one of these days, all of the secondary math teachers from the middle school and the high school actually came down to join us. One full day was on foundations of number sense, and another full day was on the model method drawing of problem solving, which is what Joanne Fasciolo modeled for all of you a couple of weeks ago at this meeting. In addition to this, we've had grade level specific training days to get our teachers ready for the program. At those days, we've reviewed the scope and sequence of the program. We've learned how to navigate materials, and we've been able to look at different components of the program. In addition, last summer, we had an intensive summer institute for K1 and 2 teachers, and this summer we will follow that model with 3 and 4 teachers. We've identified a math coach from every building at every grade level. So there are 5 kindergarten reps, 5 first grade reps, second grade reps, along with our math specialists at the buildings, administrators, and some, this year as well, some workshop teachers to meet over the summer. And during these 3 to 5 days, we've developed pacing guidelines, we've developed lesson plans, and smartboard resources for use in all of the classrooms. I just have to say that Shar Forston, who works with us, said that of all the districts that she works with in the country, she said that she enjoys working with Westport because she thinks we have the hardest working teachers, and she's amazed at what happens during these summer days. So I need to say that because our teachers do a lot of really good work for this program. In addition, we've had numerous professional development days. In fact, we've devoted at least part of every PD day this year to Singapore, and that will continue next year, not only for grades 3 and 4 and 5, but also for K1 and 2. I have to say, another huge successful part of this year has been the co-teaching with our math specialists at the building. They really support, and they have supported this rollout. So Joanne Fasciolo, Nancy Kovacic, Karen Toth, Jeannie Lott, and Jean Bowles have really been instrumental in helping our teachers roll out this program. They go into the classrooms every single week. They co-teach lessons. They model lessons. They support the children who need extensions. They support children who need some reinforcement as well. And we've been successful because we've navigated this year together. That will continue next year. They will be using, providing that same level of support for our 3rd and 4th grade teachers as well. And we spend a lot of time at grade level meetings and at faculty meetings and our common planning time talking about Singapore.
Beyond just the teachers, our goal has been to also educate the parents on our developments with Singapore Math. Back in September, after only a few weeks implementing Singapore Math in our elementary schools, we invited elementary parents to one of 3 workshops back in September, and we had over 500 parents attend these workshops. The workshops were presented by, as Anna mentioned, Shar Forston, our staff developer with SDE, and she gave just a basic introduction to Singapore Math at the elementary level for our elementary parents. Then we followed that up in January with our second Singapore Math parent workshop. We invited parents of K-2 students to attend a hands-on workshop where these parents could rotate among 5 different stations that were facilitated by our math support teachers and engage in these hands-on learning activities that our students are actually engaging in the classrooms. And we're very pleased and excited that tomorrow we will launch a Singapore Math District Blackboard webpage. So parents, as they log into Blackboard, they will be able to access a link that will give them announcements. It will share news articles from similar districts that have experienced Singapore Math. It will provide video tutorials from Shar Forston, and it will also offer them a chance to access the handouts and the presentations that we have had throughout the year if they were unable to attend. So again, we have been able to measure some of our progress with Singapore Math using our Ames Web math assessments. Now, kindergarten, this is our first year in kindergarten implementing the Ames Web math assessments for universal screening. So all of our kindergarten students have taken a series of math tests, 1-minute math probes, where they are assessed 3 times throughout the year. The first test that's listed is the number identification test. Students are given a series of numbers and they're asked to identify the number that's listed, the numbers that are listed. Quantity discrimination, That's where students are shown a series of sets of numbers. Two numbers are shown within a set, and students are asked to indicate which of the numbers is the largest number in that set. And then missing number. In a series of 3 numbers, one number is missing, and students would have to correctly identify the number that's missing in that set. So as you can see, as students entered kindergarten, again, this was not a deficit model. Our students had a strong foundation as it was. 9% of our students were in that bottom quartile when compared with the Ames-Webb national norms. But you'll see, after 1 year of Singapore Math, in spring, 0 Westport kindergarten students scored in that bottom quartile. And we have 80% of our students scoring at or above the 75th percentile when compared with national norms. And again, the other test scores show similar results, that very few students by the end of their first year implementing Singapore Math are scoring in that bottom quartile, and we have well over 90 to 95% of our students are in that average or above average range when compared with national norms. Grade 1 takes a different assessment. They are given an MComp assessment that begins in first grade and carries throughout the elementary years. And the MComp assessment is a timed computation assessment where students are given basic computation problems at that grade level. 84% of our grade 1 students scored in that average or above average range on the Ames-Webb MComp assessment. And in grade 2, nearly half of our students are again in that top quartile when compared with national norms. We recently had a meeting with all of our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade math coaches and our math support teachers. We asked the teachers to talk with their grade level teams and share their experiences from the year, reflect on the year, what's gone well, any challenges or struggles that they've faced, and really what they're seeing with their students. Our teachers commented on the overall number sense of our students. It's far stronger than they've experienced in the past. Students have a deeper understanding of the concepts. They know the why for the math that they're experiencing, not just the what. Not just what to do, but why they're following those steps. They have more confidence, and they're making connections to the real world, following along with our 2025 initiatives. And our teachers unanimously commented on that CPA approach to teaching, and that it has many benefits for our students, and they're seeing those in the classroom.
I have to add in, too, at the feedback sessions that many teachers were talking about the Singapore assessments that often include those non-routine problems, so the problems the students haven't seen before. And what they were saying was at first their students were having trouble with those. They didn't know what to do. And now they're seeing them be more flexible thinkers and persevere more in these kinds of problems, which aligns perfectly with our 2025 initiative.
Again, we have a video demonstrating our kindergarten through second grade students participating in some Singapore Math lessons.
That be graded craps.
Go ahead and roll, sweetie. Okay, what's your roll? 5. Okay, go ahead and stand on the 5. Okay, my friends, what do we say? 5. So we clap. 5 minus, let's find out how many we're going to subtract. How many, Tim? 5. So Ryan, what are you going to do now? Ryan, tell me with your words, what are you going to do?
And if I take one of them, then they'd say I have 1 grade. And that 4 fourths make a whole.
And now the wind comes again and blows back 2 more bumblebees, Raquel and Freddie. Come join what we have up here now. Freddie. Now how many bumblebees do we have? How many bumblebees did we start off with?
We're going to sing the sweet song. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 18, 21, 24, 29, 30, 30. These are threes, these are threes. So you try to make a funny group of 10 to make 70, so you split this apart with the 5, and the 5 and the 65 make 70, and then you put a 3 there, and then 70 plus 3 equals 73. Math is awesome. Yes, math is really fun.
A bit of a long lots bias.
I think we're open to questions at
And both Janet
This
and Kim
point.
came from-
All right.
Questions from the board? Michael?
So just looking at the assessments, so do we know how that would compare to previous year assessments?
Unfortunately, this is our first year implementing the Ames Web and Singapore Math, so we can only compare throughout that year for kindergarten, and actually for grades K 1 and 2. This is our first time implementing the Ames Web probes, so we don't have a basis for comparison. However, we will be tracking throughout the years as the students move throughout the program.
I like hearing about this. Obviously, we've heard about Singapore Math for a number of years. I do have one data point, which is my son, who's in first grade, and it's very interesting to see him come home and dealing with these number bonds, I think it's called. And just in the first grade, he's able to take some of those numbers and do the addition and the subtraction by breaking them down and grouping them together. And he does it in his head, it's like, wow, it's an impressive way to see that happening. He's doing quite well with that that model of the manipulatives and the doing things in your head and just understanding. So it's like I said, it's one data point, but it's working very well for my son. So it's good to see that happening.
We've heard quite a few similar testimonials just like that. So thank you for sharing that.
The comments? Good. Any members of the public like to comment or perspective on Singapore Math? Back to the board.
Don, I think I've seen your Board of Finance presentation for next year. Put those 2 videos up and check.
I will add to that.
Got all the
The
money you
videos are
want?
very helpful for those of us who haven't been able to see it directly in action. It's very helpful to see that. Thank you.
I thought you were referencing rolling the dice, but that.
These kids are going to be great at Mohegan Sun.
That's what we said. I think we know where they're headed right after we get done with Singapore Math. But, I think both programs we feel, Foundations after 3 years, Singapore after 1 year, we're feeling really good about it. I think you can see we're moving to consistent programs through the 5 elementaries. That's where we want to be. Our work this summer on the literacy will take us even further. So, I think, and it's a tribute to these three people sitting here. They've worked very hard on making sure these programs have been implemented and been implemented the right way.
Rex, Jana, and Kim, thank you very much for, I think, a very informative presentation, and certainly for someone like myself who doesn't have a first grader coming home, I learned a lot tonight about what this was all about, and congratulations as these programs are rolling out and appear to be quite successful. So thank you very much for the presentation and taking time with us tonight.
Thank you.